Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a game that I had in my object 140, which is the Russian tier 10 medium tank. It's one of the two tanks that you unlock from the T-54, the other one being the T-62A. I like the object 140, but not nearly as much as I like my T-62A. But I do have to admit that the object 140 is perhaps the better tank out of the two. It's just that the turret sometimes behaves and sometimes it doesn't. That means occasionally it will tend to bounce things and occasionally it doesn't. That doesn't mean that the object 140 or even T-62's turret is impenetrable. It's more that it just gives you some breathing space and maybe you might bounce some things as opposed to not bouncing at all. So this map is kind of peculiar now since most of the action happens towards the north because it's just shorter and it provides way more opportunity to assault the enemy's base from both sides. So I mean, what I like to do is if I have a really fast tank, I like to go over the bridge and perhaps brawl in the middle and then come back and support my northern flank either by looping around from the north or just coming back from the south. So it kind of depends like what position I find myself in. So the Leo initially gets spotted or actually goes in the middle and tries to take on some initial shots. I am not interested in sticking around. I see there's a light tank that has been spotted in the middle, and so I'm gonna try and take him out before he causes way too much damage. So here the object 140's excellent mobility does come into its own. You can relocate fairly fast and assist one flank or the other depending on where you're thinking of going. Now here the element of surprise is key, so you should not stick around and wait to get a good shot. Just go out, take a shot, back up. I start with the T-32 because he's the easier target. Right now I'm trying to whittle down bodies as quickly as I can instead of sticking around and taking priority targets. And that's what you got to do when you are outnumbered on a particular flank. You want to sort of like take out the tanks that are easier to take out and maybe perhaps world numbers down. Now over here I was expecting either the artillery to fire on me or the T-32A to come and chase me down, but neither of them actually come. So I'm just waiting until both of them are either spotted or I lose my patience and try to go do something stupid. So either or works in this case. So I kind of like wait for a while. I think they perhaps have gotten bored by now. So, and it's really a very easy matter of taking out the T-32. Now I know that the FE-215Bs has rather quite the amazing rate of fire. So my initial plan was to sort of like try to take him out, just to put a shot into him, but the T-57 on our team sort of like comes in and starts wailing on him, so I just tracked him in place so he can't avoid getting shot. Now I loop around to the north and try to help my team out. Now what I kind of like realize over here is that the medium tank in front of me doesn't have, well, first of all I'm gonna just take a peek to the left because certainly there's tank destroyers sitting camping in base, and there we go. The two RHMs are like camping in the middle of nowhere trying to contest anything that comes in the middle. Now the T-62A and the Object 140 have really higher really high GPM, so the RHM just sit in the open and lets me take easy shots. Now I sort of like know the RHMs are retreating and probably moving, try to get into a better spot. Over here I look at the Object 140 and know I can't like sort of like take him out in one shot, so I run into him, ram him, and I know that will whittle him down enough so that I can take him out. Now his turret, his gun actually prevents me from shooting the T-62A, but the T-57 is with me and he takes him out rather in. So at this point I decide that that I'm gonna start heading back. The reason why I started doing that is because most of the enemy tanks that were left, I kind of had this feeling that they were gonna be rushing for our base. Generally, when in most public games, you run into, the enemies rarely decide to defend. What they decide to do is they decide to get easy damage done, and I was expecting that to happen in this case too. So instead of like waiting around trying to actually go with the heavy tanks and sort of like contest the space when the enemy's cap, what I was thinking that I was just gonna go back and intercept any tanks that were coming towards our base, primarily because there was nothing actually spotted in the south. So I was guessing by this time they're probably heading into our cap, so I'd be right on time to sort of like do something about it. Now as I'm heading there, I see the 1390 sort of like creeping up, and sort of like my speculations get confirmed when he decides to show up where he does. So instead of like sitting around, I'm gonna chase him down. I have ample health at this point to take him on, so it doesn't really bother me if he starts unloading on me. So I put one shot into him, ram him. 1390 weighs pretty, not that much, and plus his frontal armor is pretty weak, so Object 140 does a lot of damage when it comes to ramming him. Now over here, I'm expecting perhaps more tanks, so I wasn't really so sure how many of their tanks were gonna come in this direction, but I see the Tiger 2, and over here at first, like, I decide, maybe I should just back off and try to see if I can like get hold down. But then again, like, the Tiger 2 is facing Object 140, not something that he can like out DPM or even pen in some instances, so I wasn't really that afraid. Over here, I make my first mistake. I angle a little bit too much. He sort of like tracks me by shooting me in the side, but that's about all the damage I take from the Tiger 2, and so he gets taken out rather quickly and efficiently. The Leo 1 is spotted way in the middle of nowhere, and so at first I was unsure where the GWE-100 was, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to climb this ridge in front of me and just see if he gets spotted on the other side. If he does, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of like react accordingly, but the GWE-100 is nowhere close, so what I do is I just go ham on him, as people would say, instead of actually waiting around, since I know he just fired. What other thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come around, fire on the move, and take him out, and perhaps I get to do one more damaging shot on the Leo 1, and that's all she wrote for this game. So hopefully you guys enjoy these videos. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of Playing World of Tanks.